All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Ron Futrell from Channel 8 in studio. We're going to get to Mark Anderson from the Review-Journal, who covers UNLV basketball. A few out-of-conference games that are pretty strong for the basketball team that were just released today. So we'll talk to Mr. Anderson coming up here in just a little bit. A few other calls to take, and then I want to switch topics. But, of course, we were talking about, just these horrible school shootings on campuses, high schools. And, of course, we had Kaylin Bailey, a very brave young lady who was 13 years old when she was in the Aurora Theater when that horrible massacre took place. And she joined us, and we're talking about how do we prevent these things from happening. I don't have all the answers. I certainly have some opinions. Many of these kids, now adults, have opinions, and I think they all should be heard, and we all should work together to try to come up with some solutions instead of attacking one another. And, the NRA keep putting in hundreds and hundreds and millions of dollars to all these politicians and get in their back pocket. That is wrong.
Who else should not be able to contribute to?
That's a very valid question.
How about unions no longer be allowed to contribute to political campaigns?
I don't. It is
unions. How about unions?
It is my personal opinion, and this is just my opinion, that if you run for office, I don't want anybody contributing to anybody. Well, I think if you have enough money, and many of these people do, they should campaign on their own with their own money or maybe family money, okay? But it should not be allowed if you are a special interest group. It is the biggest, and I'm talking about both sides, Ron,
unions contribute more to political campaigns than any other group out there, and they contributed 95% of it to one political party.
So let me be very clear then.
You'd be revolutionary on that. If you wanted to go there, that would be...
Let me be very clear. I am not for any organization donating any money to a political person if you think that person could change their mind on policy based on a donation.
Well, then you can't. The last part of that you have to leave off. Because you cannot prove that or come up with that. What you have to do is say,
I'm not for special interest groups put in the back pocket of politicians.
I'd go zero. I'd go the whole Citizens
I'm okay
United.
With zero.
The whole Citizens United thing was spawned. And I know it's hated by the left, but it was spawned because of union dollars going strictly to Democrats. That was spawned because of that.
It is a complex issue.
Get rid of both of them. I'd be fine with getting rid of all of them and both of them.
I am fine. We agree. I can't believe it. 257-5396, the number to call.
Won't happen, but I'd be. You know who would oppose that? You know the first group that would oppose that? The media.
Most likely. They would lose a lot of money. They would lose a lot of money.
Yes.
I agree.
Because the money goes into TV ads, radio ads,
we're in agreement. I'm trying to answer as honestly as, but you're right. The media would be ticked off about that.
Totally opposed to that.
257-5396. Go to Chuck. Chuck, thank you for waiting patiently on hold. How are you?
Yeah. Do you guys ever take the angle of a Manchurian Candidate? Or MK Ultra in the 70s. You don't think these guys they're all whack jobs? You don't think the government might have made them an assassin out of a normal person?
I guess that's a possibility. I don't know.
I mean, every other movie is about that. Manchurian Candidate 1 and 2, and
it would be proven by now if something like that was going on.
I guess the answer is I don't know, Chuck. I don't know the answer to your question. But what else do you have for us here? Because we've jumped on a lot of topics here as far as gun control. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, that's I just want to mention that it's a possibility.
Well, there's a lot of possibilities out there. I mean, people think that there's a possibility that 9/11 was an inside job. There's a lot of people, that think that, John F. Kennedy was killed by our own. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities out there. I just like to see a little proof before I come up with, look, I speculate on this show every day, but there's certain things I'm not going to speculate, and I guess that's going to be one of them, Chuck. I appreciate the call. Thank you for calling in, but I think there's a lot more things we could be talking about when it comes to gun violence than something like that. 257-5396. Again, 257-5396. Go to Candy. Candy, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
No, it's Kathy.
I'm looking at my screen, and it says Candy.
Well, hey,
I'm sorry.
I found you again.
Kathy.
First-time caller.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yes. I want to go back to that.
Take a deep breath. Get your thoughts.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. We're only on a 50,000-watt radio station that can be heard in 12 states. There's nobody listening.
Shooters at that last school shooting.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know who they were? Did you investigate it? One was a male Democrat.
What does that have to do with
guitar player? Hold on. Guitar player.
Kathy.
What?
What does it matter what their you think that guy Kendrick Castillo who died? You think his parents care what their political affiliation is?
To Trump down all the time.
I haven't mentioned Donald Trump
Makes people hate.
Kathy, for the last 80 minutes of this show, I haven't mentioned Donald Trump. Okay? I haven't talked about Donald Trump.
Okay.
We're talking, why would you bring up the fact that one of the shooters is a Democrat? That's all you have to this conversation?
No, Brian, hold on, Brian. Let her listen to her. Listen to Kathy.
The other one was a transgender.
See, I knew she was going to bring that up. Who cares? What does it matter what's between her legs?
You certainly.
What does it matter? Why would you? What do you mean it matters? Does it matter if what somebody
Brian,
has between their?
Brian.
No, this drives me nuts.
No, here, let me explain.
Let me explain. This woman is. What are you talking about? What does it matter if they're a Democrat? What does it matter if they're a Republican? What does it matter if they're transgender? What are you trying to say? They always. Oh, so you're saying all? No, I'm not going to be nice. You're trying to say all transgenders are killing innocent people?
No, I'm not saying.
So why the hell would you bring that up then? What does it have to do with the conversation? Please explain.
Wow.
Because these people. Anybody who commits anything heinous like this is mad.
Well, no duh.
Agree with that?
What? Absolutely. What the hell does that have to do with being a transgender? I'm just saying. You're the one who brought that up. If you started the conversation by saying that, I would have said, hallelujah, Kathy, let's continue this conversation. You decided to start the conversation and bring up Donald Trump and the fact that one of these shooters who was 17 or 18 is a Democrat and the other one's a tranny. Who the F cares? Why would you bring that up?
Wow. Kathy, you still with us?
Yeah,
okay?
Go ahead. Answer the question. Why are you...
I think the transgender
Why is it important?
Is relatively
why did you
important.
bring up that the woman you had on with you was a 17-year-old from the other...
You have no idea what you're talking about. Are you talking about the guest that I had that was 13 years old at the time of the shooting? I didn't. Yes. This had nothing to do with politics. She's 13 years old, and you decide. What a disgrace!
No, here's.
I was just stating a fact.
Why are you bringing up that? What do you want to do? Do you want to talk about genitalia size? Is that important to you?
Facts. What's wrong with that?
Who cares?
No.
Tell me why you brought up the fact that one of the shooters is a transgender. Answer the question. Why is that important to you?
Is it not true?
I didn't ask you if it was true or not. I'm asking you why you brought it up. Should we bring up the height, too? How tall were they? What kind of hair did they have? Who the F cares?
Sometimes the media does care, Brian. Let's go there.
I'm asking Kathy why she cares.
Brian, one of the shooters had black and purple hair.
I don't care what the color of their hair was. There's plenty of people with purple hair that don't kill innocent people. That means nothing to me.
Let me tell you what I find most interesting about this, and the details that Kathy brings up.
Also,
then why do you bring it up?
It doesn't get brought up.
No.
First of all,
you have
wrong.
to go to the UK Daily Mail. UK Daily Mail was the only place that I saw that reported, which is interesting.
First of all,
reporter.
There you go again. There you go again. Speaking about Democrats instead of talking about the real issues, you bring about the fact that one of the shooters is a transgender, and then you talk about how one of the shooters is a Democrat. That is disgraceful.
Brian, many times the media will bring up politics.
Fine. So let me ask Kathy.
The media will bring up politics quite often of people that commit violent acts.
Person that I'm hearing.
Did you talk about the white supremacist that killed people last week? Did you talk about that? Did you bring that up?
All the time.
Did you bring it up?
You just have to look to the good.
So you bring up that somebody is a transgender, is a Democrat, and then you say we need to bring up the good. You are all over the place, Kathy. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Ridiculous. What I find most interesting about that, and I will say it again.
What a disgrace.
Is many times the media will bring up the politics of the shooter if it fits their agenda.
I didn't do that.
I'm telling you, many times the media does. I see it. I know it.
Well, Kathy just did it.
The only place that you could find the information that Kathy gave out.
Who cares about that information?
No, was the UK Daily Mail.
But who cares?
American media would not cover.
Who cares if one of the shooters was a transgender?
No, Brian, listen to me. Understand my point for a second here. The media often cares and does report on the politics of shooters if it fits their agenda.
Which is wrong. That doesn't make it right.
In this case, they did not.
That's wrong.
Because you had to go to the UK Daily Mail to find it.
We all agree on that. That's wrong. I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
but Kathy
is
the one.
It needs to be pointed out. You would never point that out. I got to point that out.
That's not true. I'll tell you what I'm pointing out. I'm pointing out the fact that, number one, that's wrong. And number two, Kathy is part of the problem. And if you don't agree with that, then I believe you're wrong. Why do you bring up at the start of a conversation, well, one of the shooters was a Democrat, and the other
that hurts you. I get that. You're not.
If she said Republican, I would have said the same thing, Ron.
I said guitar player.
If she said Republican, if these two shooters were Republicans, I would have had the exact same reaction. Who cares? I don't care what their political affiliation is. They're killing innocent people.
Some in the media do, and that's part of the problem.
Well, I'm not some.
Many in the media do, and that's part of the problem.
Well, number one, I'm not some, and number two, Kendrick Castillo's family and Riley Howard's family don't care what the political affiliation of the person was that shot their son. That's what gets me so angry about callers like that. It's academic, and you're right. If the media has an agenda, then that is wrong, but that doesn't make what Kathy said right. She doesn't talk about gun control. She doesn't talk about how can we stop these things from happening. She doesn't talk about mental illness. What is the first thing that Kathy says, which is idiotic? She talks about somebody who is a transgender and somebody that's a Democrat, and that is ridiculous.
What did I tell you last week? 90% of the shooters that we're talking about here have no fathers in the home, or fathers have left them.
That is
homeless.
A legitimate.
Oh, that's
Ron,
very real.
Ron,
that's a trend.
That is a legitimate discussion. I'm willing to, and if she talked about that, that's legitimate. I would have had that conversation because that's important. But the fact of what their political affiliation is, or what they have between their legs, that is academic.
But you do
means nothing.
You do understand that some in the media, and I will say based out of New York, but in the media, to them that's an issue if it fits their political agenda.
And that is wrong.
No, it is.
And that is wrong.
Absolutely is.
And if that happens, Ron, I'm with you. That is wrong.
You can spot it. You can see it.
That is wrong.
Yes.
257-5396, 702-257-5396. I don't want to hear you people calling up saying, well, one of the shooters was a Democrat, or so that was a transgender, completely academic.
What about one of the shooters? What about the transgender girl, or the girl, boy, in particular, walking around to people and literally telling kids that they might not make it home from school if they show up to school tomorrow? Does that matter?
Who did that?
Do you remember that conversation last week when that was abundantly clear?
You're saying
both
that?
Those,
I don't know what story you're talking about.
The transgender shooter and the quote unquote the Democrat with the black and the purple hair.
What does it have to do with the fact that she or he was a transgender?
What it has to do with that?
Bullying is wrong. Period. It doesn't matter whether you're a transgender.
But they're both extremely attention-seeking individuals, and I think that's why that particular caller brought that up.
She didn't say that. She didn't know how to talk. If that's what she was trying to say. Number one, and number two.
But I'm making an assumption based on what she said.
Okay, but the bottom line is, I'm sure you would agree, many of these shooters, they want attention. It's a cry for attention. It doesn't matter whether you're transgender.
Brian, all they want is attention.
Okay,
that's all they want.
And the majority of shooters that I've seen are not transgenders, but that means nothing. I mean, I don't understand why. I get what you're saying. They want attention. I agree with you. But the fact that this person is a transgender, to me, is completely academic to the shooting, and I can't believe we've taken 10 minutes to talk about
One of the reasons why that Kathy, I think her name was Kathy, right? That
you're making assumptions of why she brought it up.
Because the media always brings up, and like we said earlier, they bring up what race they are or how they lean politically because it pushes their agenda.
Okay, but she just did that.
I know,
which is wrong. I don't care whether they're a Republican or a Democrat. What I care about is how do we stop these things from happening again. Kathy just cares that one of the shooters was a Democrat. Let's go to Tony. Tony, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, fellas. Hey, Ron, listen, man, I agree with you 90% of the time, but not this time. Kathy, Candy, Cookie, whatever her name was, she must have just left that dispensary. Hey, are you going to she might have some of those cookies at the dispensary.
She might. You're right.
What do you disagree with me on?
What coming on this week or what?
What do you disagree with me on?
What did you say, Tony? I'm sorry?
Oh, I agree. I disagree with you because you were trying to push in that side that Kathy was on about.
No, here's what I said. Pay attention. Okay, what I did say.
No.
Come on now. What I said was that the media, the only place you could find that information was the UK Daily Mail, a London, a British newspaper had guts or whatever if you want to call it that, but anyway, gave the information. American media would not do it because it did not fit their flavor. Okay, that's true.
The golf guru. I don't care about the.
Where's Dennis Silvers?
Dennis is coming on the show tomorrow, Tony. So yes.
Dennis Silvers.
Right. Thank you for the call, Tony. I appreciate it. Good to hear from you. Again, the number to call 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Yes, the golf guru will be on tomorrow. You'll hear from Carlos Santana tomorrow and Jameson Welsh. So we have a packed show tomorrow. Let's go to Gary. Gary, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, Gary?
Carlos Santana rocks.
He does.
I want to talk about the Constitution.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a problem with this no cruel and unusual punishment. I say the founding fathers were liberals. If any other culture, let's say American Indians, if anybody did that in their culture and their society, they get buried up to their neck and something horrible would happen to them. I don't know what.
Okay.
The guy, mental illness and no mental illness, he shouldn't get life. He should be, what do you call it? Something should happen to him. He should be put in front of a firing squad.
Executed.
Execution, yeah. I don't necessarily disagree with you there. I think if you take a human life and it's premeditated and it's not like, it's not a DUI, even though that's a horrific tragedy and a horrible crime. But if you actually say, hey, you know what? I'm going to kill blah, blah, blah tonight. I'm going to go buy a gun and I'm going to do it. And you do it and you kill somebody. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't think you should have the right to live. I'm with you on that one, Gary.
All right. We agree. I'll let it go.
All right. Gary, I think we lost you there, but I appreciate the call. I'm with Gary on that. And this is where I side with people on the right. I am okay. It's sad that we have to do this, but I am okay with executing people if they commit atrocities and horrible crimes.
Or you get a situation where Tex Watson goes down to Texas after the Tate LaBianca murders, and that happened in California.
And the bastard.
He goes down there and sires children, and gets married multiple times down there in Texas. And I'm sitting there shaking my head going, put the California, no, you're not going to execute him. Texas would, but his crimes were in California. The murder, at least, was in California.
Well,
the murders,
Ron,
multiple murders.
Ron,
yes.
I don't understand this mental illness defense. Obviously, if you kill somebody and it's premeditated, obviously you're mentally ill. There's something not right with you, right? I think we all could agree on that. But is that a defense? Explain to me why this guy who, I don't want to even say his name, who shot up all those people in Aurora, or the kid who goes into a church and kills a bunch of people, or synagogue, whatever the case may be. Yeah, why do people like that deserve to live?
I would have no problem with the death penalty in those cases. Here in Nevada, I think Nevada has a pretty good death penalty law.
Paddock would have been the perfect example of that. You have to execute somebody like that. He took his own life. I wish it was in the hands of us.
I wish a cop would have taken him out. But yeah. Okay. But if you commit multiple, you have to commit 2 murders here in the state of Nevada to be able to get the death penalty. Right. So it has to be multiple murders and two or more. Anyway, I don't know why. I don't know why the 2, but anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's it's much more reasonable. Would it deter people? I don't know. I can tell you something about. It doesn't need to be a deterrent. It may.
There has to be a punishment.
The punishment. Yes.
I'll tell you this. In this case,
we have the right as society to do that. I would say.
I'll tell you this. Talk about DUIs for a second. If you get pulled over for a DUI, even this is a tough city. In most circumstances, you're going to get a slap on the wrist if it's your first offense. You're going to probably pay some money. It could cost you $2,000, $3,000, maybe more. But eventually, you're going to drive again. It could be 3 months, could be 6 months. Depends on the judge, right? I believe if you get a DUI and you don't hurt anybody, you should lose your license mandatory for a year. Minimum 1 year.
That would get people's attention.
If you get a second DUI, you're done. You're done. You cannot go on the road again and drive. That's it. You're done. And I guarantee you, let's not forget about if you hurt somebody. If you hurt or, God forbid, kill somebody while you're behind the wheel and drunk, not only do you never drive again, but I think it should be a minimum 20-year sentence.
I would not be opposed to that.
Minimum, no. Okay? So our rules are soft when it comes to certain things and ridiculous when it comes to other things. Back in the day, if you sold some weed, you could go to jail for several years. I know some cases where DUIs, you kill somebody or injure somebody, you get less than someone who was selling weed or growing weed in their backyard. That is nonsense. That is ridiculous.
Thank goodness Donald Trump is reforming the prison system to be able to take care of some of those. You're talking about the marijuana stuff and some of the other things that he is doing. No, I have a different. Well, that's a little sacrilegious there, Brian.
I want to mention another story, Ron.
But no, he is making some great moves in the prison system that you would enjoy if you paid attention and cared to of what he is doing.
He's doing a great job with Kim Jong-un too. That's another story for another show. But I want to talk about the guy from My Pillow. I want to talk about My Pillow for a second. By the way, it's a crappy pillow. It's horrible. I bought one of them and I sent it back. The guy's a scam artist. Maybe that's why he likes Donald Trump so much. Anyway, his name is Mike Lindell. He bragged about how America was in an economic boom thanks to the president's tax cuts. Okay, he was at the Republican National Convention, and this guy said, quote, Donald Trump was chosen by God. This guy is a moron, okay, and he just let go of 150 workers at his facility in Minnesota. Now, keep in mind, it was just a few weeks ago when he said it was economic boon. He just let go 150 people. Now, he claims the layoffs are coming because he's planning some major changes. He didn't say for sure whether these employees would be coming back. He said, hopefully. That's what he said.
How many people does he hire? How many people are at his place?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
No,
you don't know how many people he's hired.
No,
you don't
I
want to know, do you?
I don't. But if it was booming, why would he cut 150 people?
Sometimes you do that. Sometimes you have to do that.
Sometimes you do that.
Oh, yes, you do. Sometimes you have to do that to have the business survive and have it be stronger for the future, so you can hire 250 people next year that you would not mention.
If the economy is booming, why would he have to fire 150 people?
You get him on the phone.
I would love to, because I think he's a nut. That's why.
Of course you do.
I think he's an absolute nut.
You would treat him horribly.
Do you think? No. First of all,
he hires people. He produces a product that you don't have to buy.
First of all,
he hires people, and
I've never treated a guest horribly. Even Danny Tarkanian, we couldn't be more opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to politics. He would even tell you I treat him fairly. So I resent that. Do I treat some callers unfairly? Well, they say some pretty stupid things. You're absolutely right. I'm going to go after them. But every single guest I've ever had in radio for 20 years, I've always treated them fairly.
Get Mike Lindell. I bet he loves publicity.
I would love to get him on the show. Yeah. I will try to do that. I think he's an idiot. I really do. I think he's a complete idiot.
Because he what? He hires people?
No, because he believes Donald Trump was chosen by God. That is an idiotic, moronic statement.
How do you know he wasn't?
You think that if there's a God out there, Donald Trump?
I didn't say.
This is the guy who
I asked you, how do you know he wasn't? If you're making the claim that he wasn't, how do you know he wasn't?
Then we can go back and forth. How do you know there's a God?
I'm not. You brought it up, not me.
Okay, well, I think this guy's an idiot for making statements like that. Okay. I do. Donald Trump was chosen because he won the Electoral College. He wasn't chosen because God wanted him to be the president, if there is a God. That is an idiotic statement. And to me, he's 95% of all of his marketing and sales money goes to, guess where? Fox News. He's a biased righty, okay, which is fine. He's allowed to sponsor.
Oh, it's not fine. Not by your tone of voice. That's not fine.
No,
your tone of voice says.
Okay, well, here's why.
That's fine.
Here's why.
That's what you say.
Here's why I have a problem.
That's what you say to your wife after an argument when it's really not fine.
Here's where my problem is. Besides being a moron saying that he thinks Trump was chosen by God, I don't have a problem with him spending 95% on Fox News. He absolutely has the right to. Here's where my problem is. Laura Ingraham on Fox News, who I think is a witch, who I think is a racist, who I think is a horrific human being, who hides behind her religion. Yes, I think she's a racist. She goes on Fox News and she says, shut up and dribble when it comes to LeBron James. And then she goes after David Hogg and attacks his grades. Okay? A lot of sponsors dropped off of Laura Ingram's show, even though she does have ratings. A lot of people dropped. There was only one sponsor that tripled up and quadrupled up. Guess who that sponsor was?
No, it was MyPillow.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
I think you really didn't like the pillow.
Disgrace.
The pillow's no good. I thought about buying it.
When somebody makes a mistake, you don't have to.
Listen, pillow sucks, though.
They do suck. He's a scam artist, and him and Donald Trump have something in common. But that's another show.
Now I want to try it.
Yeah. But with that being said, if he wanted to stay with Laura Ingraham as a sponsor, fine, whatever. You don't have a backbone. But the fact that he quadrupled up and spent more money on her show, I think he hides behind his religion, okay? Hides behind it. And he thinks it's okay to go after these kids.
The pillow guy?
David Hogg never went after Laura Ingraham, went after her grades or got personal with her until she got personal with him because she doesn't like his gun policy. That is my problem with this guy. If he thinks God...
She also wasn't a high school student.
Oh, she didn't even go to high school?
Well, I mean, why would he go after her grades? She's not in high school.
Well, she was, though, at one point, right? You could go after her grades.
So you could have gone after her middle school transcripts, high school transcripts, or college transcripts.
I think MyPillow is overpriced. Let me say this about it. I
scam artist.
It's like $70 or something, and I went to Costco. They had them at Costco recently.
Let me tell you something.
And
Mike Lindell.
And I still you could buy one, get one. I still don't want to pay $70 for two pillows.
Let me be very clear.
So anyway,
Mike Lindell can take all of his MyPillows and shove them with a sun don't shine.
He has mattress covers and sheets now, Brian.
Yeah, I think he's a scam artist.
Did you know that?
He's a scam artist.
Mattress
I
covers
hope nobody buys his pillows because they suck. And I think he's a moron. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Mark Anderson from the Review Journal will be joining us.
What if you liked his pillows? What if his pillow was good?
I was given one actually as a gift. I returned it because it sucked. That's why. My neck was killing me. It sucked. He's a scam artist. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Mark Anderson from the Review Journal. UNLV Hoops are going to be talking coming up, and some of the scheduling has been released. You might be happy if you're a UNLV fan. We'll talk all about that coming up next. Ron Futrell from Channel 8 in studio along with J.D. Sharp. I'm Brian Shapiro. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this on the Vegas Take.